Joining me today is New Hampshire Representative Neal Kurk. He's chair of the House Finance Committee. Neal, I want to switch from the budget to some other things, and I got a ton of rapid fire things here. Casinos. Well, I imagine we'll see legislation dealing with that.
We definitely will.
Will it pass? And I'm not going to hold you this. It's not your opinion. Just quick, your prediction.
I don't know. Sorry to be so iffy on that, but last time when we had the vote on it, it was 173 against, 172 in favor.
And it's not a partisan issue.
No, this is clearly not a partisan issue. It goes across both parties. It's a philosophical issue. This is a new legislature. It's really hard to tell whether the votes are there or not.
Will the budget...
And by the way, I'm speaking about the House. I'm sure it will pass the Senate.
Okay. Will the budget, and I'm sure the governor will probably sign something, would be my guess?
And I wouldn't be surprised if she included it in her budget in order to raise extra money to spend.
Will the budget really put the pressures on the votes? Will that...
You mean on gambling?
Yeah.
No, and let me explain why. The gambling bill will usually come from the Senate. At the time we have to pass the budget out of the House, there is likely not to have been a House version of the gambling bill that passed. Therefore, since we don't have that revenue in the House, the House Finance Committee, which prepares the budget, cannot use that revenue to balance the budget. So my guess is, unless there's some legislation in the House dealing with gambling that passes before crossover, that the House will balance its budget without any gambling revenue.
Okay. I want to quickly another topic, but deals with budget and revenue. We have a tradition of having special fees associated with a special project, LCHIP, for example. And then that sometimes those monies get diverted to other projects.
That was nicely put.
I understand there may be legislation dealing with really saying if you earmarked it for something and the fee goes to that, it has to go to that. Is that a wise policy?
Having dedicated funds is a wise policy because it's making a policy statement, but it's also, from a budgeting point of view, a bad policy because it says some things are more important than others and don't get involved in the mix. So if you make a decision one year and don't revisit it, then future budgets are bound by that and priorities may have changed. So I think dedicated funds are not a desirable thing. That being said, we have them. I think this budget will try to respect those. We may eliminate a dedicated fund, but for example, there are some energy efficiency funds that have significant money in them, somewhere between $10 and $20 million, which again for us is a significant amount of money. Should we determine that those are not desirable public policy, I don't believe the Finance Committee will take that money and use it to balance the budget. I believe we will return that money to the electricity ratepayers to try to reduce sky-high electric rates in the state. I personally will do my best to make sure that the House budget does not balance itself based on rating, that was the nasty word, rating these dedicated funds. LCHIP has, let's say, $3 million a year, $6 million for the biennium. It's my expectation that whatever is in their fund will continue to go to LCHIP for LCHIP purposes and not be used to balance the state budget. And the same for the other dedicated funds.
I want to turn to yet another issue, but this one's not money. The Republican Party. How divisive was electing the Speaker?
Electing the Speaker was not divisive at all, but the aftermath of that, the person who should have been Speaker, Representative O'Brien, but for various reasons was not elected, and some of that, indeed, in my opinion, much of that was due to his own decision to challenge a long-standing House tradition in order to ensure his election.
Right, because had all the Republicans voted for an open thing.
He was 4 votes short. I know personally 4 Republicans who did not vote for him because he had put forward a plan to make the vote for Speaker an open vote when for 200 years it's been a closed vote.
Right, that was the one I'm talking about.
And that, I believe, cost him the speakership. And that was his decision. I and others counseled him that it was a bad idea, but he was insistent on going ahead with it because he was concerned that Representative Jasper would throw his hat in the ring on the next balloting. And that, in fact, happened. But had he relied on the tradition in the Republican caucus of rallying around our elected leader, I think he would have won. I didn't support him in the caucus. I supported Representative Chandler. But when Chandler lost, It was more important for me that Republicans be united, and I was a strong supporter of Representative O'Brien.
So, will the two caucuses be able to get together? And we got about 30 seconds left. Last word.
I don't know. I will say this, that the Republicans are not divided on policy issues. This is an intra-family spat, and I hope that the brothers and sisters who are arguing with each other will eventually come together and rally around the family unity.
Okay, well, we're out of time. Neal, thanks so much.
It's a pleasure, John. I always enjoy doing this.